Why do so many married women secretly crave adventures outside their relationships? Is it boredom, loneliness, or something deeper? Something ancient philosophers like the Stoics warned us about centuries ago? Today, we're diving into the shocking truth behind this question. And you might be surprised by what Stoicism reveals about human nature, relationships, and the choices we make. Stick around because this isn't just about marriage. It's about understanding the core of who we are. Let's get one thing straight. This isn't a video about judging anyone. It's not about pointing fingers or saying who's right or wrong. This is about understanding. Because here's the thing. When we see someone making a choice we don't understand, like a married woman seeking adventure outside her relationship, our first instinct is to judge. But Stoicism teaches us to pause to ask what's really going on here, and more importantly, what can we learn from this? So today we're going to explore this topic through the lens of Stoic philosophy. We'll look at human nature, the pursuit of happiness, and why sometimes, even when we have everything we thought we wanted, we still feel like something's missing. Ready? Let's go. Okay, let's start with the obvious question. Why does this happen? Why do some married women, or men for that matter, look for adventures outside their relationships? On the surface, it's easy to say, oh, they're just selfish, or they're bored, or they don't love their partner anymore. But Stoicism pushes us to dig deeper, because here's the truth. Human behavior is rarely that simple. Think about it. When someone chooses to step outside their marriage, it's not just about physical attraction or a fleeting moment of excitement. It's often about something much deeper, a longing for connection, for validation, for a sense of freedom or excitement that they feel is missing in their lives. And this isn't a modern problem. The Stoics talked about this thousands of years ago. They understood that humans are complex creatures driven by emotions, desires, and a constant search for meaning. So what's really going on here? Well, let's break it down. First, there's the issue of expectations. Many of us go into marriage with this idea that it's going to be this perfect fairy tale relationship. But the reality, marriage is hard. It's messy. It's full of compromises and sacrifices. And over time, that initial spark can fade. The routine set in. The conversations become predictable, and for some people that can feel suffocating. But here's where Stoicism comes in. The Stoics believe that our happiness doesn't come from external things, not from our partners, not from our relationships, not from anything outside of ourselves. True happiness, they said, comes from within, from our ability to control our thoughts, our emotions, and our reactions to the world around us. So, if that's true, why do so many people still look for happiness outside their relationships? Why do they chase after adventures even when they know it could destroy everything they built? That's what we're going to explore next. 1. The Stoic perspective on desire and happiness. Let's start with the Stoic view on desire. The Stoics believe that most of our problems come from one thing, wanting what we don't have. Think about it. When we're unhappy in a relationship, it's often because we're focusing on what's missing. Maybe we feel like our partner doesn't appreciate us enough, or we're bored with the routine, or we're craving something new and exciting. But here's the thing. The Stoics would say that this desire for something more, this constant craving, is the root of our suffering. They call it dysipamia, which means unhealthy desire. It's the kind of desire that's never satisfied, no matter how much we get. For example, imagine a woman who's married but feels unfulfilled. She might start looking for excitement outside her marriage, maybe through an affair or by chasing after new experiences. But here's the problem. Even if she finds what she's looking for, that excitement won't last. It's like pouring water into a leaky bucket. The more she chases, the emptier she feels. The Stoics would say that the solution isn't to chase after more. It's to change how we think about what we already have. They called this, or inner peace. It's about finding contentment within ourselves rather than relying on external things to make us happy. So how do we do that? Well, that's where Stoic practices come in. Let's talk about one of the most powerful ones. 2. Negative visualization. Appreciating what you have. Negative visualization is a Stoic exercise where you imagine losing the things you have. Sounds depressing, right? But here's why it works. It helps you appreciate what you already have. Let's say you're in a relationship and you're feeling bored or unappreciated. Instead of focusing on what's missing, try this. Imagine your partner is gone. Imagine waking up one day and they're no longer there. How would you feel? What would you miss about them? This exercise isn't about being morbid. It's about shifting your perspective. When we take things for granted, we stop appreciating them. But when we imagine losing them, we suddenly realize how much they mean to us. For example, there's a story about the Roman philosopher Seneca. He was one of the wealthiest men in Rome, but he practiced negative visualization every day. He would imagine losing his wealth, his status, even his family. And by doing this, he learned to appreciate what he had rather than constantly craving more. So if you're feeling unfulfilled in your relationship, try this exercise. Imagine your partner is gone. What would you miss? What would you regret not saying or doing? Sometimes the key to happiness isn't getting more. It's appreciating what you already have. 3. The role of external validation. Now, let's talk about something that drives a lot of people to seek adventures outside their relationships. The need for external validation. Here's the truth. We all want to feel valued. We want to feel seen, appreciated, and desired. And when we don't get that in our relationships, it's easy to start looking for it elsewhere. But here's the problem. Relying on external validation is like building your house on sand. It's unstable. Because no matter how much praise or attention you get, it's never enough. You'll always want more. The Stoics had a term for this, pro or mindfulness. They believe that true self-worth comes from within. It's about knowing your own value regardless of what others think. For example, imagine a woman who's married but feels invisible. Her husband doesn't compliment her anymore, and she starts to feel like she's lost her spark. So she starts seeking attention from other men. Maybe she flirts at work, or she joins a dating app, and for a while it feels good, she feels desired again. But here's the thing, that feeling won't last because deep down she's still looking for someone else to validate her. And until she learns to validate herself, she'll always be chasing that feeling. So, how do we break this cycle? Well, that's where Stoic self-discipline comes in. Let's talk about that next. 4. Self-discipline and the power of choice. One of the core principles of Stoicism is self-discipline. The Stoics believe that we can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. And that's where our power lies. Let's go back to our example. Imagine a woman who's tempted to seek adventure outside her marriage. She's feeling lonely, unappreciated, and bored. And then she meets someone who makes her feel alive again. At this moment, she has a choice. She can give in to her desires, or she can pause and ask herself, is this really what I want, or am I just trying to fill a void? This is where Stoic self-discipline comes in. It's about recognizing your impulses, but not letting them control you. It's about making choices based on your values, not your emotions. For example, the Stoic philosopher Epictetus was born a slave, but he became one of the most respected teachers of his time. How? By practicing self-discipline. He believed that true freedom comes from mastering your own mind. So if you're feeling tempted to seek happiness outside your relationship, ask yourself what's driving this desire. Is it a need for validation, a fear of missing out, or something else? And then make a choice based on what you truly value, not just what feels good in the moment. 5. The role of society and modern pressures. Now, let's talk about something that makes all of this even harder. Modern society. We live in a world that's constantly telling us to want more. More money, more success, more excitement. And relationships are no exception. We're bombarded with images of perfect couples, fairy tale romances, and endless adventures. And when our own relationships don't measure up, it's easy to feel like we're missing out. But here's the thing. The Stoics would say that this is all an illusion. They called it fantasia or false impressions. It's the idea that we're constantly being tricked by our own perceptions. For example, think about social media. We see these curated highlight reels of other people's lives, and we start to compare. We think, why isn't my relationship like that? But here's the truth. What you're seeing isn't real. It's a carefully crafted image designed to make you feel like you're missing out. So, how do we break free from this? Well, the Stoics would say, focus on what's real. Focus on your own life, your own values, and your own relationships. Don't let society's expectations dictate your happiness. For example, Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in his journal, every night he would reflect on his day, his choices, and his values. And by doing this, he stayed grounded in what truly mattered. So if you're feeling pressured by society's expectations, try this. Take a step back. Ask yourself, what do I really want? Not what society tells me to want, but what truly matters to me. And then focus on that. 6. The power of amore. Fatty, loving your fate. Finally, let's talk about one of the most powerful Stoic concepts. Amorati, or loving your fate. The idea is simple. Instead of resisting what happens to us, we should embrace it. Instead of wishing things were different, we should accept them as they are. Let's go back to our example. Imagine a woman who's unhappy in her marriage. She's tempted to seek adventure outside her relationship, but instead she chooses to embrace her situation. She says, "This is my life. This is my marriage," and instead of running away from it, I'm going to make the best of it. This doesn't mean she has to stay in a toxic or abusive relationship, but it does mean taking responsibility for her own happiness. It means finding joy in the present moment rather than constantly chasing after something better. For example, there's a story about the Stoic philosopher Zeno. He was a wealthy merchant, but he lost everything in a shipwreck. Instead of despairing, he said, "Fortune has done me a favor. Now I can focus on philosophy." And he went on to become one of the greatest Stoic teachers of all time. So if you're feeling stuck in your relationship, try this. Instead of focusing on what's missing, focus on what you can do to make it better. Instead of wishing things were different, embrace them as they are, because when you stop resisting your fate, that's when you'll find true freedom. Here's the hard truth. No relationship can make you happy if you're not happy with yourself first. The Stoics knew this. They understood that the key to a fulfilling life and a fulfilling relationship isn't about finding the perfect partner or chasing after endless adventures. It's about finding peace within yourself, about accepting what you can't control and focusing on what you can. So, if you're feeling stuck in your relationship or if you're tempted to seek happiness outside of it, ask yourself this. What am I really looking for? Is it excitement, validation, freedom? And then ask, can I find that within myself? Because here's the thing. When you stop looking for someone else to complete you, that's when you'll truly be free. At the end of the day, the choices we make, whether it's staying faithful in a marriage or seeking adventure outside of it, come down to one thing: our ability to understand and control our own desires. Stoicism teaches us that we can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. And that's where true power lies. So, if you take one thing away from this video, let it be this. Happiness isn't something you find outside of yourself. It's something you create within. And when you understand that, you'll see your relationships in your life in a whole new way. If this video made you think, hit that subscribe button, because understanding ourselves is a journey, and I'll be here to help you every step of the